Hello, welcome back to Gunsmith Part 10. Today we're doing an AK-105. The ending build looks like this for one of the variants, but there are actually two ways to make this work at the moment, and sometimes the other one is better. So what we're going to do is go over to Prepel 3. Unfortunately, the AK-105 is on Prepel 3, but you can obviously just buy this gun off the flea market. Here's the 105 here, which is going to use Prepel's default version. Now what you want to do is you want to buy this, and then you're going to want to go into your character screen and then fold the stock for the first variant. So let's take the gun down here and fold the stock, because where it says 8 slots or so, if you've got a suppressor on this thing, then it's not 8 slots. Now this actually does differ for the second build, but let's do that one in a moment. So the easiest one is the DT hybrid. We have this little mount thing here, and then we put on the hybrid 46. You've got to remember that the hybrid 46 suppressor can be bartered for 3 sticks of RAM. Usually that is cheaper. At the moment, they're quite expensive, so you might want to do the alternative build, which we'll get to in a second. But for now, we're going to use the Dominator handguard here and the VFG, the vertical foregrip that we use on pretty much every build for Gunsmith over there. Then we're going to add on the 60 rounder because we need that for the particular quest. And then as usual on top, we're going to take off the rear sight. We'll add on the Bastion because it's the cheapest and we don't need the extra ergo from anything else. And then we're going to add the Romeo 7. This gets our sighting range correct because it's 800 sighting range. Stick that on. The final thing we need to do is use the saw pistol grip, and that gets us to 38, and this build will then work. So let's go and select my weapon. This is my original gun. I can't build that because it's exactly the same as the one in my stash. Now that one can be handed in, as you can see here from this tick. Now there is another variant of the AK-105 that we can make if the hybrid 46 suppressor is expensive. This version, you're actually not going to want to have it folded down, because what we're going to do is utilize the new methodology for adding suppressors, which is using the CNC Warrior. This allows us to use the 5.56 suppressors, and although you probably can't buy this at this point, it's actually not that expensive on the flea. People do tend to be putting them up there. So we're going to use the CNC Warrior first off, the SF3P muzzle brake, and then on top of that, we're going to use the Mini Monster. This can either be bought outright for about 45k, something like that, or you can use the barter. There's a barter down here for a VHS. I've already done one here with Skier, and the VHS tapes are often a little bit cheaper, maybe around 40,000. That would be this video here, the video cassette with the Cyborg Killer movie. Sometimes this is a bit cheaper than the suppressor itself. So we're going to go back to our build. We don't really need to do all that much, so we still do need to use the Bastion. We'll put the Bastion rail and the same optic on the back, which is this Romeo 7. But then in terms of the handguard, we can just spend the money on the AK-100 and the VFG instead. It's a little bit of a cheaper combination. We then obviously have to put on our 60 rounder back on, and that gets us to exactly 38 ergonomics. So if I select the other weapon, we're going to build this one, and I'll show you that both of these will function from mechanics. We're going to build them. They're both allowed. So we'll go back to mechanic. And so it just depends which one is trading cheaper at the time in terms of the suppressors. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and hand one of these two guys in, and we'll get on to the next part of the quest.